Hi, I'm John.
I'm Nathaniel.
And welcome to
Hampton Homestead.
Today we're going to be working on the lily of the valley. They don't look like much right now, a bunch of dried tops and dust, but we're going to get them cleaned up and get things going so we can have flowers this spring. Sound good, Nathaniel?
Yeah.
Okay. Nathaniel, why do we have this fencing over here?
So that the chickens don't scrap it up.
Yeah, so the chickens didn't scratch it up. We let the chickens in this fall, and they got to go in all of our veggie beds that are in front of you and behind you. And the chickens come in, they eat any leftover tomatoes or whatever else we grew, and scratch it all up, turn everything over. But we didn't want them on the lily of the valley side. So we're gonna start having fun. The kids are swinging, having a good time, and let's get things going. Sound good?
Yeah.
So all of the lily of the valley have gone dormant. Last spring they grew, they bloomed, and then over the summertime they just died out. And late summer, early fall, we stopped watering them just to really push them to go dormant. Because we start them early, we want them to go dormant a little bit early too. Our lily of the valley have been fairly dry. They've now been able to freeze too this winter. We've opened the windows in the greenhouse, which allows this area to get nice and cold, get a bit of frost in the ground, let them go through their natural cycle. Now we're in springtime. We're going to move all of our hoses out of the way, pull them all to the back. We have these drip hoses for irrigation. Works really awesome. Keeps the water down low, stops the flowers and the leaves from getting watered. Sometimes what you can have is when you water the flowers and leaves, you'll get spots on from the water, or you'll get the bells of the lily of the valley will turn clear from the water as well. So the hoses down low work great. They're an awesome solution that we have for making sure the water is getting directly down to the plant. So these are our grow hoses that we're gonna clean everything up, pull them to the back, and then we can start pulling off all the lily of the valley. If you look closely underneath this loose bit here, you can see pips or eyes. These are the eyes, the lily of the valley. So they're going to be what come up. Don't walk on the bed, Simeon. Get down. The eyes are going to be what are going to grow and come up and produce the stems and the flowers. So since they're fairly shallow at this point, we're actually going to build the bed up a little bit with some fresh soil, some compost, just to make sure everything's nice and covered. It'll help keep the water in a bit better and keep them growing. Okay, Juliet's going around and collecting the staples, taking the staples out, and I'm gonna go move the hoses. Good job. As we're cleaning them out, we're just doing a check too for weeds. Here I got some red clovers. A prickly weed.
That's funny.
Yeah, just be careful. You could wreck the lily of the valley. Clovers. These are one of the biggest pains. They spread like a carpet along the ground, and by the time you realize you've got an issue with them, there's a million of them. This is a good time of year to sort of do a check, see if I've got them, where I've got them, how I can clean them out. My Opa is a big fan of not letting the weeds get to seed. You can keep them down before they get to seed. You'll save yourself a lot of trouble as it goes. And I'm really good in theory. It doesn't always, I don't always get to it on time. That I'll admit, but I have definitely been getting better. I actually took over growing lily of the valley from my Opa. He grew them where he lived in Balls Falls. And when I was a kid, I would go and I would help him from time to time in the mornings before school. Eventually, when he wanted to move and retire out of the lily of the valley business, I got a chance to take it over. So I was in grade 8, and he said I could dig up a section to help thin them, and the ones I dug up I could take home and I could grow them. And my parents were always encouraging me to be an entrepreneur and try different things, so they said for sure. But it came with a warning. My dad said if you can't keep them clean and if you can't take care of them, he was going to mow them. Because what we ended up doing is we took an old patch of lawn along the outside of the greenhouse and we killed all the grass off. We tilled it all up, and then I spent oodles and oodles of time helping dig up all the lily of the valley from my grandpa's house and move them and transplant them. For grade 8, that was a lot of work. I also still worked in the greenhouse and did this sort of on the side in the summertime. And then the weeds came and I was constantly being encouraged and reminded that I needed to go clean the lily of the valley. And it felt like a daunting battle. It felt like by the time I had finished weeding this bed, and by that point it felt like I had to start all over again. There were so many weeds. Probably over-exaggerating it, but as a 14-year-old kid, it felt like a battle I couldn't do. And I got so tired of it that I gave up. I stopped weeding them. I stopped cleaning them. And, maybe I would deal with it in the fall. Well, my dad is true to his word. And before fall came, the weeds were well outgrown all the lily of the valley. So he did what he said he would do. He mowed them over. And I want to say I was crushed and I was super upset, but there was a big part of me that was just relieved. I did not feel like I could keep going with Lily of the Valley. Fast forward another year or 2 years, I believe I was in grade 9 or 10, and Opa needed to thin some Lily of the Valley again. I once again went and helped Opa dig them up, which again I think was genius on Opa's part, because so far I'd help him dig up Lily of the Valley twice in order for his crop to be spaced out. and he still had zero competition because I couldn't pick them anyways. Got them all nice and taken care of. I even put straw on top of them in the spring to sort of help keep the moisture in, and also as a method to try to keep some of the weeds down. And so that's where we sort of started the Lily of the Valley. Grade 11, I had to do an entrepreneurship class, and I actually wrote a business plan with me and my friend about the Lily of the Valley, and that was our business plan, and it ended up doing really well. It helped me sort of really figure out some numbers, and then by grade 11 I had actually picked my first Lily of the Valley, and having a bit of income was really encouraging, and it sort of helped inspire me to keep working away at it. Grew from that. Well, yeah, we grew from that to being able to build a small greenhouse, to slowly expanding the Lily of the Valley. So what Nathaniel's doing is giving our first big watering. We got to get everything soaking wet. Hey, hold on. Let's get your gloves out of the way before they get wet. So Super slow. Back and forth. And then when you want to go further back, you take a step back. Okay? So just back and forth.
Okay.
There you go. Hold it higher so you're not making the dirt run away. Okay, boys, I'd back up if you don't want to get wet. It's too close. You got to be up in the air. If it's too difficult for you, work it. What we're trying to do is soak the bed. Again, remember, we're trying to mimic conditions outside. So springtime, we're getting tons of water outside. The plants are going to get soaked. That's going to be one of the keys for them to know to start to wake up. We're not only soaking all the new mushroom compost we put on top, we're also soaking all the way down into the sandy loam/clay that they're planted in. So by putting the layer of mushroom compost on, it also helps protect the buds as we're watering. Otherwise, you'd be stripping away the top layer of soil, exposing more roots. It acts as an insulating layer, helps to keep the moisture in. You don't have to use mushroom compost. You can use peat moss. Cocoa peat is a really good one too. Cocoa peat really helps hold moisture in. The compost is good. It's going to help feed the plants as well. So, and for us, we can get mushroom compost really well priced. We can get it cheap. So when we first moved to this property, almost 5 years ago, the very first summer, I built these raised beds. We planted them here. We had no greenhouse yet. I had a rough idea of where I'd like the greenhouse and how I would like the greenhouse to be built, but we wanted to get the Lily of the Valley started first. They take a couple years from first planting before you get a good harvest. One of the barriers to entry for people who want to grow Lily of the Valley is the amount of work it takes and the amount of time that you have to invest into it. It's not like a simple cut flower where you can plant it, harvest it that year, make your money right away, see the rewards, see the fruits of your labor. The Lily of the Valley are slow. For year one, you pick very little. A couple bunches for yourself for the house. Really, that's about it. Year two, you can start to do a decent pick, but again, it's mainly about making sure they stay watered, making sure the weed pressure is kept down. You're constantly on it all year long. And by year three, they've started to grow thicker. They've started to keep the weeds down themselves just by how thick they are. And you're going to get yourself a really nice harvest year three.
Thanks for watching.
You're going to say thanks for watching Half Dozen Homestead.
Thanks for watching Half Dozen Homestead.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.